Hello, Comic Pros and Comic Joes. I am Brett the Comic Novice here, coming to you live on New Comic Book Day about week 2 of Future State. Yes, I have picked up. I believe I got every single book for week 2 of Future State. I know that I missed a couple on week 1, and I have missed a couple on week 3. And in this one, I am going to be reviewing and sharing with you what the week 2 of Future State looks like for all the books that I read, my thoughts and opinions. Please, in the space below, give me your thoughts. What did you think about the week 2 of Future State? Was I incorrect about the one that I have deemed the worst book of Future State? So here are the comics that I picked up for week 2 of Future State. First on the docket, Dark Detective. Now, I'm going through this in alphabetical order so that there is actually no particular order. But I will tell you, starting off, this is my favorite Future State book out of both week 1 and week 2. I'm very impressed by this. A lot of people were panicked because the main writer, Mariko Tamaki, who had her stint on Wonder Woman just barely end, was going to ruin, Detective Comics in the future and, of course, Batman. And you have this great story about perhaps Bruce Wayne being dead as well as Batman being dead. I was actually impressed by a lot of YouTubers because I was actually anticipating these 2 pages right here to be something of criticism because I guess Mariko Tamaki in some of her Marvel stuff does food commentary, and we got some ketchup and some fries and stuff like that. But those of you that were worried about that, it is soon to pass because we get this awesome story about that goes back and forth between present time and then in the past when Bruce Wayne, Batman, gets shot, has to pay basically his last dime to get stitched up. It is amazing. We have essentially all of in Future State in Gotham, all of the people who are masked vigilantes or criminals are being rounded up by the magistrate, and here is like the number 1 guard that is the Peacekeeper 01 that is kind of in charge of this. And Batman over here discusses that basically some of this was his tech and his money that set him up set this whole thing into motion. And the neat thing about Future State, in my book, is that this is the possible future of what could happen in the DC landscape. Now, because in every single book at the very beginning, we have this stuff right here that basically says, now that Dark Knight's death metal has come and gone, this is the potential unwritten future of the DC universe. So this could happen. Mariko Tamaki's could eventually lead us here. However, there could be a direction. She could, be dismissed and somebody else takes it over. And again, this is just a little, footnote. The art is fantastic. The action is phenomenal. This set up the story perfectly. I'm not going to give away too much of it, but I was super thrilled by this issue. Now, speaking of the second story, because there's a backup story in this, we have the story with Grifter. Now, I've only met Grifter in 2 issues so far of the New 52, but this is phenomenal. You have this bar scene where Grifter is being asked to come outside. He decides to not. He bashes some guy over the head with a bottle. We have this essentially progression of punching this guy, which actually leads to nowhere, to where he's about ready to, trying to leave, and he does leave through out the side of the car, the bar's window. It is a great story. I loved it. We got to see Luke Fox. He was tied up, also being rounded up because at one point in time he was Nightwing, and the magistrate wants anybody that even at one point in their lifetime that was a vigilante to be rounded up. To me, this is the perfect book. All right, next, in alphabetical order, Green Lantern. This has 2 backup stories. The main story written by Jeffrey Thorne, and it was his interview that I saw on Comics by Perch YouTube channel that actually got me to actually buy any of the future state, because there was so much hearsay, so much rumors about what this was. This was going to destroy the characters. Every character was going to be, politically corrected. So I heard a lot of complaints about this one, and to me, this is what I think about this first Green Lantern story, because this, and I don't know Green Lantern besides a couple of stories that I've read and reading the Jeff Johns Rebirth of Green Lantern, which is a great story. However, with this story, we are just thrown into this universe with the power battery dying and the Green Lantern rings not working. However, what Jeff Thorne is going to be doing is he is going to be leading us to how it got this far. Perhaps, again, in every single one of these, we have, let's see, is it on this page? This is from the and a glimpse into the unwritten worlds of tomorrow. This is perhaps a future glimpse out of everything. So we have John Stewart, who is just ruthless with the kind of like a lightsaber. We have a couple other people. I don't know between Adam. I feel as though whenever we have these two sparring races that are warring against each other. We have Kilowog, who at one point in time is crying. The question is, granted, he is gruff, he is rough or whatever, but what has happened to him to get to that part? That is what I am really intrigued by. Some people be like, well, this is just not his character. Well, how did his character get there? That's the questions you need to be asking yourself. This guy who's like, at least I think, some sort of like Green Lantern receptionist or something like that. He is, battling. He's knee deep into battle. I'm intrigued. Second story, I believe, is even better, because in the second story, we have Jessica Cruz, who is in a satellite station, I believe around Oa, and three Yellow Lanterns come into the satellite station. And she basically is John McClaning them up. She is slowly, hiding herself in vents, taking them out one at a time. It is, and then taking, unlike, John McClane, now I have a machine gun. Now she has a Yellow Lantern ring, and it is a fantastic story. I'm curious what's going to happen, because at the very end of this story, it says the end, just as a Yellow Lantern ring descends on it. Oh, what is going to happen? I am so intrigued. The last story, The Book of Guy, is an intriguing story. It takes place just before the power battery dies. I don't like the art by Clayton Henry. He's done a couple of Flash ones, and it doesn't work for me. Now, for the caption, one great book and one of the worst. And this is the worst book I have read in Future State. So bad. I got my local comic book store to take off my poll for issue number 2 of the Justice League. I hate this book, and I love the Justice League. I do. And it hurts me so much. So we have this first page, which is drawn beautifully, basically representing that the new Justice League has fought together many times. It explains to us who each of these new Justice League members are, which is, again, totally fine. Here is the future legion of superheroes, and then they're about ready to come up with the ultimate plan to kill the Justice League, and the next day they are all dead. So there is a mystery that is to be solved. However, the Justice League, they don't work with each other. They don't play nice with each other. Some could say that, I wonder how this happened. There is a rift. But you know what? We have Jo Mullen, who is in Far Sector, who I'm still kind of curious why she is the Green Lantern in the Future State, but that's okay. She takes over because she's the best detective. Nobody else stays. Not Aquawoman, not the new Flash, not new Wonder Woman, not John Kent or Superman. not even the new Batman. We're told that somebody had betrayed them, and so they had to change their certain things. But they are unlikable. They just leave. They don't work with each other. And except when, John Kent and Yara Flora decide to have hot dogs and talk to each other. Or perhaps it is a little while later when, I forgot. Joe Mullen is actually still working. Batman, should be probably one of the higher detectives or whatever, who, at least the Bruce Wayne Batman doesn't really work well with each other. But hey, then you have Aquawoman who goes back, and we see dating perhaps the new Flash. So everybody is supposed to not work with each other, but they hang out with each other and perhaps see each other. And then, of course, the twist bad guys who assume the identity of I hated this book so bad. I did not like it. And what makes it worse is there is a story, Justice League Dark. And I do not like Justice League Dark. I do not like Edgerton. I do not like rhyming things. Magic. I don't know why, but reading magic hurts my brain because it annoys me. Future State, Robin Eternal. This one was fun. Again, this takes place in Gotham. So far, Nightwing is not available. He's in Arkham, possibly. I've heard some rumors that that's not. So Tim Drake is trying to do his best to help protect. We get Spoiler, who doesn't want to help, but helps him anyway, and so just leaves him be. We have this person who, the only reason why I figured out where she came from is there was no editor's notes. They talked about We Are Robin, and I know that is a kind of a small storyline during the New 52 because I read a couple of books. I don't know who she is or what her skill set is. I guess she is another Robin. I don't know. It's an intriguing story because you have these things that are kind of like Sentinel type things, except they're cybernetic type things that are using part of the Lazarus pit resin to make them perhaps even immortal. And Tim Drake decides that he needs to stop this from happening or else whatever. And that they fight back and forth. Spoiler shows up. And I will tell you, I'm really impressed by this because it looks like Tim Drake dies right there. And then suddenly gets up round 2. Hoo, hoo, hoo. Now, for as much as I did not like Wonder Woman, I liked this story, Superman Wonder Woman. This was fun. This was absolutely fun. I've heard some people say that this is not John Kent. I don't care. This is fun. You have this story for John Kent every single morning, gets up and gives the city of Metropolis a nice good morning message showing him that he's there. Now, some of the art does get a little wonky from time to time. In Brazil, we have this evil person in a helicopter that gets taken down beautifully by, the new Yara Flora Wonder Woman, and his helicopter pilot's going to shoot him. So she decides to make them say, I will not embezzle money from the city, and I will not shoot Wonder Woman on the plane. That's fun. You have these two guys who I wasn't sure who they were at the first. However, you find out later he is I believe maybe the Brazilian sun god. He is a Brazilian moon god. And there's a problem because there's a second sun in the sky. And also we find out that this second sun is also overpowering and taking power away from Superman, so there's going to be a problem. I'm really intrigued by this. This was a fun story. I absolutely loved it so far. Last one, Teen Titans, issue number 1. I was very fortunate to get this because I guess there's a first appearance of something. And yeah. So with this takes place in the future. I'm not 100% sure when. So I will consult my free comic book day book. And the Titans takes place in 2027. So most of the Batman stuff takes place in 2025. So this takes place 2 years after that. So we have Titan Towers en route. And here's one of the interesting things that I noticed. So you have, to me, and I'm not 100% sure if I got it right or not, but what you have is we have the current time. It seems like there is a yellowish tint to everything, or what they do, or this is actually, the color scheme for what everything's going on. And when we go back to the past, we have blue taking out of things, because this right here is the first, comic box that has, that's taken place in the past. Again, you have these balloons. It does not make sense that it is, these colors. So I assume that the past, they're taking out the blue. Maybe it represents, taking, Dick Grayson's happy, positive, robust personality. Maybe that's why they've done that, just to kind of insinuate that. If people that are fans of Dick Grayson are complaining because they don't like it, they've referenced some Red X, something that Dick Grayson has done in the past. It's an intriguing story. To me, it's more of a mystery. We have Cyborg and we have Beast Boy kind of like molded into one. There's a question of how that happened. Will that get resolved? And, if you're going to get annoyed at it, Dick Grayson kind of has a Deathstroke type of a look. At the very end, he frees Red X, which I guess there's the first appearance of Red X in the comic book. So that's why I am fortunate to have this. I'm not that disappointed with this book. It's not the best. It's not the worst, but it was enjoyable. And you know what? The characters in this book were actually likable compared to the Justice League. So what'd you think? I mean, I know I may have gone on a little bit too longer in some aspects, but you know what? I had a fun time. I actually have reread a couple of those issues multiple times. I have really thoroughly enjoyed week 2, with one exception, from Future State. So what to expect in next week's video? Well, next week I have issue number 2 of The Next Batman, featuring 2 stories, Batgirls and Gotham City Sirens. So besides The Next Batman, we have the Immortal Wonder Woman with Princess Nubia and Diana backup story. We have Nightwing Future State, Shazam Future State, and the one that I'm looking forward to most is Superman Worlds of War Future State, issue number 1, with 2 backup stories, one called Clark Kent Midnighter and Black Racer, and then another, oh no, not Mr. Miracle. I did not like the Mr. Miracle story in the Metropolis one. And then my comic book shop snuck this into my pile. I didn't see it until I got home. I did not read issue number 1. I was kind of out on Batman Catwoman. I also got DC Dead Planet, last issue number 7, and I'm hoping that we kind of put a pause for a while on Deceased. I'm tired of it. And one other thing that I did pick up is Stillwater issue number 5. I've not read any of them. I've heard great things about them from some of the YouTube channels that I listen to, talking to you pop culture philosophers. Really follow a lot that you have. I just don't have all the time in the world to read them all. So sadly, I have like boxes of back or reading that I need to get done. So please tell me what you thought of week 2 in the comment section below. Like, subscribe if you would like. Also, what did I get right? What did I get wrong? Did our opinions, are they similar? Are they different? Let me know again in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching the podcast, the YouTube channel. And until next time, when we get Future State week 3.